Stugotz here for Dollar Shave Club. You heard me talk about the amazing shave I get from my Dollar Shave Club razor, especially when I use it with their Dr. Carver shave butter. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm never giving up my membership. In fact, I'm adding even more DSC products to my daily routine. I love them that much. They are fantastic. Everyone on the show uses them. Dollar Shave Club makes products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. They have me looking and feeling amazing, and it's all their own original stuff. That's what I love most about it. It's amazing. They only use the finest premium ingredients, and they deliver it to you just like they do their razors. That means no more annoying trips to the store, cruising up and down aisles, looking at shelf upon shelf of what the hell is that and what do I do with this? I use Dollar Shave Club for almost everything. Razors, body cleanser, hair gel, and yes, even butt wipes. DSC has you covered head to toe. And now's a great time to give Dollar Shave Club a try. You can get your first month of their best razor along with travel-sized versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and yes, even butt wipes for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC starter set. It is awesome, and it's yours for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is the worst of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald in with us as he is every Tuesday. If you're not familiar with what we do around here or how we do it, I am just sort of an elephant sort of roaming around, and everyone just bounces off of me and gets annoyed by me and influences during the breaks what it is we talk about as I wander around. And so Mike was hitting me with a lot of skyscraper and a lot of Mike Tice during the break.
Yeah.
And Roy handed me a sheet of paper, and this sounds promising, of just reading things said on the Philadelphia police scanner during the celebration. I think that without the visuals, that is a funny thing to just read to you things said on a police scanner. But I want to get to this Mike Tice story.
Okay.
And I want to get to Skyscraper as well. Is that Greg Cote's not much of a movie guy. And this right here is the audience for Big Dumb Dwayne Johnson movie.
You mean I'm the audience, right?
No,
here?
Just this.
Okay.
I didn't mean you. I
Okay.
meant our audience.
Okay, yes.
Yes, I could have just made it your face, but just our audience is here for one-footed Dwayne Johnson. I mean, Dwayne Johnson, I prefer him with 2 feet, but you're going to give him to me with one? Okay, we'll take it.
Yeah.
1 foot, I'm even more invested now.
Yes, it's more challenging. Yes.
So Mike was doing some sort of gymnastics where he was hanging onto a crane, or was his prosthetic caught in the crane?
Well, he was trying to jump from a crane to a building, but because he only has 1 foot and a prosthetic on the other, he's short in his jump. But for whatever reason, he gets caught by the foot, and it's the prosthetic foot, and it's stretching out. And the end of the trailer is a prosthetic metal piece just extending and lengthening, and you don't know if Dwayne Johnson's going to make it.
Right.
Yes. He's hanging upside down, from
by
the
a
top
prosthetic
of the by a
foot.
prosthetic foot that is lengthening and might break at any point.
I know, but what I loved about the exchange,
I wonder if he makes it.
One of the things I loved about the exchange is, as Mike was saying it, Dwayne Johnson with prosthetic. I'm in. Stugotz is just muttering in the background. They had me at Skyscraper.
How can that be bad? I mean, honestly, think about it.
Of course it can be bad.
What?
Of course it can be bad, but as long as you know you're going to see a big dumb movie and that's all you're going to do, then it can be good.
But it's not just big and dumb. Now you're emotionally invested because you're rooting even more for The Rock.
Mm-hmm. How did he lose his foot, by the way? Do we know?
We'll find out.
Yeah. Oh, we don't know.
We don't know.
So he is he's part of a Skyscraper security team, but he's a former FBI agent. So I'm guessing something terrible happened while he was working for the FBI. And then because something terrible happened, he then had to resort to being part of a security team for skyscrapers. But now he's going to have to bring back everything he learned in the FBI, you know? All the stuff he learned in the FBI.
Just spitballing, maybe the terrible thing that happened resulted in him losing his foot.
I think so.
Well, now, he's not a superhero, right? He is not any kind of...
I mean,
he is
technically.
Well, no, okay, not technically. He's a whack and hut guard.
Well, he is.
All right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
So, but what I wanted to ask you guys, because I've got a lot of my friends have been talking about how excited they are about this Black Panther movie that's coming out a week from Friday.
Oh, that's a different level.
No, I know, but it's a blockbuster. And what I wanted to ask you guys is, do superheroes ever get to be black? Are superheroes a white thing? And the reason I ask the question is, do any black kids grow up seeing a black superhero? Like where in the movies?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned.
I'm legitimately asking the question. It's something I've never given a moment's thought before asking that question right now. Is there such a thing as a black Superman or his equivalent?
Well, obviously, superheroes in comic book history, primarily white. You had Blade and Spawn, and Luke Cage and whatnot. But now, since Disney acquired Marvel, they're sort of rebooting the entire comic book universe to where a black teenage girl is now Iron Man. An Asian person is the Incredible Hulk. All with the previous characters sort of still in the universe and sort of imparting their knowledge on a more diverse group of heroes.
But I think what Dan's asking is, was there ever an original superhero that was built with a black person?
Well,
involved,
no, there have been,
right?
There have been. But what I'm asking you is, the comic book movies, is that a white thing? The movies that have this is the Dark Knight or Superman or any of these blockbusters, is it as exciting to everybody as it is to white people? I'm asking it legitimately as a question because I don't know the answer to it. I don't know if black kids grow up looking up to any kind of black superhero in fantasy. I don't know who those people would be, and I haven't seen them in the movies, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I have not seen movies that are catered to that.
Right. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to it. I would think not. I would think that that's a white phenomenon for the most part.
I think that's a good poll question. Before I get to reading these police scanner comments, Garen, put it on the poll. How do we word it? Comic book superheroes, is that a white person thing?
This is the first superhero comic book movie blockbuster that is going over and above in its marketing strategy, all the way to its Kendrick Lamar curated album to appeal to a black audience. It's why they picked Black History Month for the release.
No, I know, and it's getting amazing critical reviews.
Yeah, it has.
All right, so here's this is by April Glazer. She is simply just recording things that were said on the police scanner after 10:20 p.m. in Philadelphia after the Super Bowl ended, and it was largely peaceful. And then you get this, 10:36 p.m. We need somebody at Broad and Walnut, southwest corner, people on the pole. 10:40 p.m. I got about 2,000 college students coming from Walnut Street to 30th to Center City. 10:46 p.m. Chief, it's endless. It's endless, Chief. It's endless. 10:53 p.m. About 4 stories above the Wawa, we got people out on the ledge.
I love the Wawa, man.
I can't tell how they came up. If they're not allowed to be there, can we get them down? They're coming out of the window. 10:57 p.m. Be advised that someone is flying a drone in the area at I-5 and Market. 11:04 p.m. They're climbing the fence. 11:11 p.m. They're on the trash trucks. Get them off the trash trucks, guys. 11:14 p.m. Multiple people on Broad Street swinging again on the light poles. 11:23 p.m. I got a group jumping up and down on tractor trailers now. 2 white men in black jackets and blue jeans. 11:25 p.m. I need to get the fire extinguisher out of my trunk. I got a fire on Broad Street just south of South. Someone lit a Christmas tree on fire.
Sal Pal.
11:26 p.m. They just flipped the car over here. Medical response team over here. Greatly appreciate it.
Jeez. Imagine if they lost.
Oh, no, I'm keeping out all the assaults and stuff. I'm just reading through the funny ones. Like, I'm keeping out all the actual bad stuff. 11:38 p.m. They're trying to tear multiple light posts down, and I don't have anyone to counteract it right now. 11:42 p.m. They're climbing up the fire escape onto the roof. 11:44 p.m. A man jumped off the light pole and landed on his head. 11:45 p.m. We have a light pole down on the east side of Macy's Corner. 2 live wires. Live wires. 11:51 p.m. on the southeast corner. The pole is about to collapse. There are about 40 of them on there. 11:53 p.m. We have a large crowd throwing bottles and chanting Meek Mill.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Tune in tonight for college basketball action as TCU battles Kansas. Coverage begins at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and the ESPN app.
11:58 p.m. I got a male in custody in this location. Says he's an off-duty cop. 12:24 a.m. I got someone jumping on top of our fire truck now.
Hi, this is Papi. Do you know that my TV show Highly Questionable is not only on ESPN2 every day at 4:30 Eastern, it is also available as a podcast. You can listen or subscribe to the Highly Questionable podcast on ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Dan Le Batard.
Jordy Nelson had a goose egg. Unbelievable. What are the odds? Money in the bank, that guy normally. Best Nelson since Ricky Nelson in the 60s.
Stugotz.
Hands up if you remember Ozzie and Harriet. Put them up.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, I'm mad at Stugotz because during the first segment, he wasn't listening to much of anything I was saying because he was hypnotized. He looked hypnotized, somewhere between hypnotized and sedated, as he stared over and over without the volume being up at the Skyscraper preview, the preview of the Skyscraper movie.
Can't stop watching it, man. I mean, I just can't stop. I cannot wait to see this movie. When's it out? Because I'm going to get in line. Like, I haven't been in a theater in years, and I'm telling you, I am going to the theater to see this movie. I am.
Garrett, what is it about the trailer that you like so much? Because the entire here's the thing. I went with my girlfriend. Ron McGill of Zoo Miami does every year around Valentine's Day. He's got a very popular thing that he does, Sex and the Animals. And it's funny and it's great, and he does it at the zoo, and he raises money for his endowment. If you want to help Ron McGill, check out Ron McGill's endowment, because that's a good man doing good things for the animal kingdom. And my girlfriend, for the entire hour and 15 minutes that Ron McGill was talking, just had a smile plastered on her face because she loves the animals so much. And sex. And Stugotz was looking at that preview the same way.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't paying any attention to anything that I was saying.
No.
Anything. He wasn't paying attention to it because he was just hypnotized by what exactly?
I mean, Dan, when you're 44 years old and you have 2 kids, the Skyscraper trailer is sex. That's my sex at this point in my life. Okay.
Okay, but what did you see? What is it? I have not seen the commercials for this. I've only seen your descriptions of a prosthetic and a Wackenhut guard. The way you guys describe it is awful, frankly. Having not seen the previews, the way you guys describe it is terrible. It sounds like a terrible movie, but I'm sure the previews would change my mind on that.
It starts with a classic, he's out on some sort of limb off the building, like some ledge, and it starts with a classic helicopter scene, much like Die Hard. It is modern day Die Hard. That's what it is. I'm excited for it. But it starts there where they're shooting at the Rock and he's avoiding all their bullets and he's doing all the, those Rocky type things. And then it shows, a little, backstory with him just putting his pants over his prosthetic leg so he has the prosthetic leg. Okay. Then it shows his beautiful wife, Neve Campbell. And I'm telling you, Neve Campbell, baby. I mean, welcome back. Wow.
All right. So Neve Campbell.
She reminds me of my wife. She really does. I mean, you would agree, right? That's my type.
That
right
is
there.
your type.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, this is my wife, Abby, but with a job. And money.
Yeah.
And there'd be no resentment if I was married to Nev Campbell. So anyway, and then there's a bunch of, oh wait, Dan, this is the best part. Because it's in China. And there are a bunch of things like you don't have to open anything. It's just put your thumb here, door opens. Thumb there, door. And I love that kind of stuff. But here's the best scene. The old elbow to break glass in case of emergency to get an axe out so he can take care of the bad guys.
So he can do axe things.
Yeah, he can do axe things. Yes. But then the ending, which I cannot stop watching, is him, Mike, how would you describe the thing? What is that thing called? It's like they're doing construction on the skyscraper. He has to run across it.
It's a scaffolding.
Scaffold.
Okay, a scaffold. So he is running across the scaffold, and he has to jump from the end of the scaffold to another building. Luckily for him, his foot gets caught in a rope. Otherwise, he doesn't make it. And he's just hanging from the rope, but
guess which foot?
It's the prosthetic foot. And it just keeps stretching stretching stretching, and it leaves you wondering.
And that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. And that leaves you wondering, how quickly can I spend this $12 going to the movie theater?
It's a real foot hanger. Oh, upset. Major upset. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at him.
That's a very provocative poster, isn't it?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You want to see it? Hold on.
I do want to see that again because it seemed like The Rock was just clearly jumping to his death there, right? There's no way that he could survive
the rope,
that.
and the prosthetic.
Right. The run is dead on.
Yeah.
He might be looking at an Oscar for his performance.
Let me see that again.
This is it. All right, here he goes. Hold on.
Yes, he's running scaffolding. The lights are on him. Courage is one of the words on the screen. Now he's running like crazy.
Right.
Has no limits is one of the words on the screen. He's rumbling now because he's thick and he's big and he's muscular.
Look at this jump.
And he's jumping clearly to his death. He's not going to make that. No way. Wait a minute. He's not going to make it. Trailer ends.
It's not over yet.
Oh, there he is, upside down. Yes. Prosthetic. Prosthetic is stretching. He's going upside down. It just says summer. Oh, my God. Fast forward all of time and allow me to age several months quicker than I normally would just so I can get to summer.
Have you guys ever wanted to see, like, movies on what happens right after these things happen? Because, like, there's all these movies where these skyscrapers are falling down and stuff, and, like, that has to be such a pain in the ass to rebuild that city, right?
Yeah, just someone cleaning up.
Yeah.
Clean up after?
Yeah.
No, I never won this.
I've never wondered about that. No, I'm suspending disbelief. I understand that none of this is real $2.
Well, Dwayne Johnson had to have a foot amputated for this role, which is really method acting. I mean, when you do that, you're a serious actor. Credit to him.
Does Carson Wentz have a championship in your personal record book?
Yeah, he does.
He does?
Yes, he does. He does.
He does?
Yeah, Carson Wentz absolutely
Wait a minute.
does.
If LeBron...
I'm not certain about Nick Foles yet, but Carson Wentz does.
What?
I don't know.
Nick Foles absolutely has to have
He joined a pretty good team. Yeah, played three. Listen, he only played like 3 or 4 games. He joined a really, really good team that was doing just fine without him. I don't know. Foles definitely... I mean, I'm sorry. Wentz definitely Foles. I'm still debating.
That's one of the weird...
I got to consult some of my people.
It's one of the weirdest takes Stugotz has ever had.
It's really not. If you think about it, Greg, you understand what I'm saying.
I do indeed.
Would the Eagles have landed in the same place with or without Nick Foles? Meaning if Carson Wentz never got hurt, did they win it all?
I understand your larger point. The inconsistency I'm objecting to is the idea that you're giving one to Wentz and not to Foles.
Well, it's my personal record book.
And there's where I'm always trapped. That is always the end to all arguments.
I mean, listen, in your book, you want to get Foles one? Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question about Wentz? What if he continues to play on this very good team with Philadelphia, but he doesn't actually win a Super Bowl? He goes several years without it.
Listen, in my personal record book, I can give someone a ring and then take it away. I've told you this before. Yes.
Yes. Wow.
I mean, if LeBron goes to Golden State, I'm telling you, every championship he wins with Golden State, I take 2 away.
Okay. Yes. Once Stugotz, I love that Stugotz's personal record book also includes like a time machine.
Yeah.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
Now, if Foles goes somewhere else and wins, or they trade Wentz, and Foles continues on and wins more championships with the Eagles, I'll revisit this conversation.
Guillermo,
but for now...
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Does it make any sense that in Stugotz's personal record book, Carson Wentz has a championship and Nick Foles doesn't?
Super Bowl MVP.
Don Le Batard.
You know, that utopian scenario is waiting a long time for a continuation.
Right. Let's get to Utopia already. Let's go. Let's go.
All it's cracked up to be utopia?
Yep.
Or is it overrated? That's what we need to find out first.
Stugotz.
Kind of overselling it, right?
Yeah, there is no utopia.
Get there and be very disappointed.
Right. Sort of unrealistic to expect a utopia, quite frankly. Let's just deal with the real world first.
Exactly, right.
Worry about utopia and heaven later.
You are dead on today, my friend.
Continue with your program.
Oh, thanks!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald in with us. If you are just joining us, the reigning Super Bowl MVP and NBA Finals MVP do not have titles, according to Stugotz's personal record book.
Correct.
So if LeBron James were to sit right now with an injury and the Cavs somehow won through the playoffs without LeBron James, you would give LeBron James no credit for this title, but Carson Wentz gets credit for that title.
No, LeBron James, if that played out, if LeBron James went down tonight, we certainly don't hope that happens, and they went on to win a championship, which seems implausible.
Right. You would still give it, but it does seem
give LeBron a ring.
You would give LeBron a ring. What if KD did it? What if KD goes down right now and the Warriors win the title?
No, I mean, KD played last year and was the finals MVP and didn't get a ring. Why would he get one this year? I mean, what's going on, man? You're having trouble keeping up with my personal record book. Why would I give KD's never going to win a ring, period. The only way KD wins a ring is if he leaves Golden State and goes to a team that has maybe one superstar, and if he does that and wins a championship there, I'll give him a ring. I'll give him a ring. Right now, he's -1.
What? He's -1?
Yep.
He's negative.
You could be -1 in my personal record. You can be minus anything in my personal record.
He owes you a ring.
Wait a minute. I did not know that Kevin Durant is in the rare position of being beneath Charles Barkley, who hasn't won a ring, and Dan Marino, who hasn't won a ring.
Right.
He's beneath them with -1 rings. I did not know that was an addendum to the personal record book.
Yeah, the path was so easy that I took away.
Wow.
And so he's starting in a bad place, a place no one else has ever started before. He's starting at -1.
He's drawing dead, man.
Yes, yeah.
So he's got to win a ring to be at 0.
If he goes to, let's say he goes to the Knicks. No, he has to win a ring without playing for Golden State. He goes to the Knicks with Porzingis, and I love the Knicks. He goes there and he wins a title, then he has 10 rings. How about that? I'll take the one back, then he's even, and then I'll give him 10 more. He wins 11 championships if he goes to the Knicks. KD, if you care. You go to the Knicks and win a championship, I'm going to give you 11 rings. How about that?
Well, here's what's funny about that. Stugotz just turned to a camera. He has no idea if it's the right one on ESPNU and spoke directly to KD.
Yeah.
As if KD were watching this show on ESPNU and cared about, wait a minute, I could get 10 championships instead of the -1 I presently have. Well, here's one of your delusions that you share with my father, because Stugotz is sitting here saying he cares. He cares what I think.
I mean, Dan, have you seen him since they've won the championship? Have you seen KD, like the way he's been acting, trying to validate what it is that he did?
This is what I want to ask you guys, though, because my father, I'm not sure my father's wrong about this, but my father's got delusions the same way that Stugotz does. So I ask you guys this question, because this is funny. My father has unreasonably, and to my great shame, been calling LeBron James and Dwayne Wade for 2 years now the Snake Brothers. He does things on television where he moves his hands like cobras, he makes them hiss, and he continues to call them the Snake Brothers. Wow. And the other day there was a soundbite, and LeBron said, well, when a player takes control of his own power, then he's a snake. Then he's a snake for leaving his organization. And my father is taking credit. My father's yelling to anyone who will listen. He watches the show. He sees me doing the snake dance. He knows that I've called him a snake. No one else in the media is calling him a snake. I'm the only one calling him a snake. Mm-hmm. And he hears me.
Poppy's right. No doubt in my mind.
No, because I'm talking to two people here who are at the height of self-delusion and narcissism. Like the two of them think that everything they say is being heard by all.
Right.
Well, it is.
Of course it is. LeBron's listening right now.
Yeah. And if he's not, like someone is, I'm telling you, someone on his staff, someone, who surrounds, who's very close with LeBron James, it is their job to listen to this stuff.
Guillermo,
and they pass it back to LeBron.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does LeBron know that my father refers to him as a snake?
Mm-hmm. He does know, and it hurts him.
I want to ask you guys this.
You don't think KD knows he has no championships in my personal record book?
I don't think he knows he has -1. I don't think he knows he has -1.
I think, he will soon.
Well, you're talking straight to a camera that you're not even sure is the right camera, telling KD, who may or may not be watching on ESPNU, that he has -1 championships, and you think that information has gotten immediately to KD wherever he is on the West Coast, 7:38 Eastern, because he's got a Stugotz alert on his phone.
Yep.
Kevin Durant did kind of tweet at you once. Now, he was tweeting at incarcerated Bob, who was tweeting about something that you said.
Yes.
But he knows, and J.J. Watt certainly knows.
Oh, he definitely knows, yeah. Frosty. Woof. I mean, I tried to have conversations with that guy on Twitter. It ain't happening. And KD did tweet something
Wait a
at
minute.
me.
All the bad stuff you've said about J.J. Watt
I tried to get him on the show. I mean.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Figured if someone we wanted on the show, I did. I tried to get him on the show.
You have no shame.
Nope.
You've been just crushing J.J. Watt. Let me ask you guys this question, because a lot of people got mad at me yesterday because I said, and my wording was too strong, I said that it was that call that everyone is celebrating today, at the 4th and 1, a tight end / wide receiver throwing the ball to Nick Foles. Oh, the grapefruits on Doug Peterson. That is the way that I have wanted coaches to coach fearlessly for a long time. But what I am saying is, in that particular situation, 4th and 1, if you're doing results versus process, I know the result worked. I know what happened. That Nick Foles caught it, we celebrated it, and America saw that Doug Peterson was really revolutionary, smart, and fearless against Bill Belichick. We all saw how it ended up working out. But if I lay out for you 4th and 1, Philadelphia Eagles, choose from among these plays, how far away do you want to get from what you do best? That's about as far away as you can go from what they do best. In a game where they were best at everything and they kept overwhelming them, that is as far away from what they do best as anything. So you could celebrate the element of surprise. I'm just questioning whether the process was sound in getting to the result. Because that call, taking the ball out of your quarterback's hands to have someone, first of all, wait a minute. Having a running back flip it to a tight end or wide receiver, having that tight end or wide receiver throw a ball when he's not a professional thrower, even though he threw the ball in college at Florida backing up Tim Tebow.
Right.
And having him throw to Foles, catching the ball, catching the ball. Nick Foles.
Right in his hands as he's wide open.
But we saw the same thing. To Dan's point, we saw Brady drop that ball earlier in the game.
Right.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that if somehow Foles had dropped that ball, everybody would have been there very quick with, what kind of call is that?
No,
they would crush Foles, I think, because the play it worked out so beautifully. He was so wide open. But an over the shoulder to Tom Brady is different than Nick Foles, just a routine.
Fair. It was a 2-yard pass.
Fair enough. Right. But what I am telling you guys, though, about this, I remember I've told you guys this story, and this is where the ignorance of us and the media in terms of what we're watching can be something that is a drawback. You see Chris Long all over Twitter right now criticizing Chris Collinsworth because he's saying, man, you were saying on a Super Bowl broadcast that I was responsible for things that in this defense I wasn't responsible for. If Collinsworth isn't aware of it, how can we be? But I've told you the story. Dave Wannstedt in Buffalo's got the perfect call against a blitz, a screen to that side. It's the perfect call. It should be a 90-yard pass. Jay Fiedler screws it up, pick six, and Miami's never in the game. Mm-hmm. And so the process was great. The result was a disaster. And so when I'm doing sports analysis with you guys, I'm fixated on process because I know what will happen in the sports media conversation once the result is bad. You guys tell me, if somehow the ball is bobbled, somebody bobbles a ball, I'm talking about risk versus reward. You need a yard. You're the best offensive line in the sport. You got two running backs. No one can stop.
Even if that pass is incomplete, Peterson gets tremendous credit for an inventive, daring play.
You think so?
The only second guess is if Nick Foles is hammered by a cornerback.
I think Stugotz is arriving on 3rd and 1 they threw, and on 4th and 1 they threw, and I think everyone in the world, if the Patriots come back and win that game,
I'm crushing.
Everyone is saying, what the hell are you doing? You need a yard. You got the best offensive line in the sport.
Yeah, well, agree to disagree, because how many times do we see runs at the one get stuffed?
Yeah, that too.
That entire defense was expecting the run, which is why that play.
Or play action.
But that's your strength, and you've been gashing them.
And by the way, I sincerely doubt that Nick Foles was the only option on that play.
No,
they would throw it to the quarter. Yeah, they would throw it to the quarterback if the quarterback was wide open,
Only
which
if he's wide open.
No, they had a wide receiver cutting across the back of the end zone who was also wide open, by the way.
Guys, again, I know it's a genius call because it worked. I'm still telling you that what the situation you would have then called for is a guy who's not used to throwing the ball on the run in the pros, throwing to either Nick Foles or someone else from 10 yards behind where you started. That's not usually a play that goes very well.
He's practiced that play 1,000 times.
I understand, but not as much as the stuff that they're good at.
The only way it's praised is the way it played out. If Trey Burton throws a bad pass, we're blaming Peterson because you didn't have your quarterback throwing the ball. And if Foles drops the pass, then you're blaming the coach because you have a quarterback.
I'm talking about risk versus reward. I'm not.
The stuff they're good at is what the defense expects.
Uncle Fuddy, you look good. When you back that ad up.
I don't think you guys are understanding
I'm
what
with
I'm
you.
saying. No, but I'm not saying the thing they're good at is running the ball, but then the secondary thing they're good at and we're good at in that game was Nick Foles throwing the ball. They didn't go with either of those options. Like you could play action off of that and have Nick Foles throw the ball without objection.
Oh, I hear you, and I think I see some of your points, but coming from you, I think that's why I find this so bizarre because you're going up against a world champion.
I am not actually. That's how I want everyone to play against them. It's how I want everyone to play against them. I'm just saying that risk versus reward in that particular situation, it worked out for them, and salute to them for it working out fearlessly to them, but it could have gone the other way really easily, and they increased the probabilities through that play call of it going the other way. That is not a high percentage play.
but if they hand the ball off to a giant, he gets stuffed.
That's correct.
That's correct. You got to be more creative against the Patriots.
Well, and plus that play is such that you don't throw the ball to the quarterback unless he is completely uncovered. Mm-hmm. If there's any cornerback near him, you throw it away or you audible.
You want more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz? Tune in starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
What do you prefer, flat wings or drumsticks? Because I like drumsticks.
I like drumsticks too, yeah.
Flat rules.
Stugotz.
If people do just drums, though, you'd think there's a bunch of extra flat wings just laying around, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think more people do all flats, though.
No,
Really?
I think more
so.
people do drumettes. I'm telling you, more
Wait a
people do
minute.
the drumettes.
I like drumettes so much
No,
more.
no, no.
In fact, I'd prefer to do all drums.
Flatten it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald in with us today for better or for worse. Later in the show, Chris Mortensen will join us, Chris Sims as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Can you stop drinking water and put your headsets on, please, Greg?
I apologize.
Yeah, he's having some health issues, man. I feel bad for him.
Right.
Just take it easy on him.
Thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
Kindness
Yeah.
personified over here.
I mean, I'm worried about you.
And over
really.
there only, by the way.
I got your back.
I don't think I've seen exactly this from a superstar before, where Windhorse is on television. Windhorse has a relationship with these people, so he's not going to say LeBron's not trying and LeBron is quitting. But Windhorse, we have the sound here of Windhorse saying as delicately as you can, and I don't think it's an accusation I feel like we could have ever made of a superstar of LeBron's caliber. What you can assure yourself from a superstar of LeBron's caliber, even as he ages and fights age, is that you are going to get prideful effort.
Correct.
Like that is not something, you don't get to be a superstar of LeBron's stature unless you are somebody. Randy Moss is not allowed to be LeBron James because the only way you're allowed to be LeBron James is if you're giving an effort that the customer can see, value, appreciate,
Yeah, the effort's always there for him. Has always been there for him, except for Saturday night. Because I wanted to watch that game against the Rockets to see how the Rockets...
I saw the same thing happen against the Thunder. He wasn't trying.
Okay, see, I didn't see that game, so I watched that Rocket game. He wasn't trying. Here's the other concerning thing. The players on his team, they're not trying either because they see him not trying and you're not going to care, then I'm not going to care.
But this is the interesting deal with the devil that you make in LeBron's final season, man. If things aren't exactly right to his specifications, he gets weary, and then what you see is this corrosive effect. Like, again, I will remind you, when he left Miami, that series returned 1-1 to Miami.
Yeah.
It returned 1-1 to Miami, with Miami not having returned 2-0 against the Spurs the last year of LeBron because the power went out and LeBron cramped up. And if not, they returned back to the Spurs 2-0. And at that point, the Miami Heat believe, again, I've told you this before, this is not something I believe. It's something I've argued against the highest members of the Miami Heat organization. The Miami Heat believe that LeBron James, and there's nothing in the stat line to show it.
It's impossible.
There's nothing in the stat line to show it. He had a great finals. They believed that he had checked out. And what happened after that was slaughter. The Spurs played the best basketball you've ever seen, and the Miami Heat, a champion, regal champion, totally fell apart at the end. And what I'm saying is that what we're presently witnessing right now, is a good deal worse when you have Brian Windhorst on television. Brian Windhorst, who has been covering LeBron since high school, saying this.
His play and his focus and his effort level is eroding to levels I've never seen before. He's been guilty of pouting in the past. One of the examples I can give is when his first year back in Cleveland, when he was frustrated with Coach David Blatt and he was frustrated with some of his teammates. He ended up going to Miami while he was on injury treatment. But he was injured then. Right now he's healthy, and that doesn't explain why he is not giving his maximum effort. And I really do think it's a lot about the future as well as the present.
Well, there's not much waffling there. I mean, he's using the word lack of effort, and it means so much more because you know that Windhorst has known LeBron James since before any of us heard of LeBron.
Well, but again, I ask you for this because Terrell Owens or whomever, actually, I can't even blame Terrell Owens for this because he always worked hard and played hard. This isn't an accusation that you could file at the superstar very often. Give me all the other examples of this. Now, I will say this on behalf of LeBron, Stugotz. I know you dismiss the idea that the Warriors are mentally fatigued, but if they're mentally fatigued, how do you think LeBron feels? Like, if they're mentally fatigued, LeBron has lived where they've lived for the last few years, for the last dozen years. If they're tired, in his defense, if they're tired, imagine what kind of condition he must be in mentally if the Warriors are telling you, we're fried.
Yeah, but Dan, totally understand and agree, but a lot of this is self-inflicted. Like, the reason he's mentally drained is because he keeps putting himself in these situations where it's the final year of the contract. You got to get everything exactly right or else I'm getting out of here. Every time he does it to himself.
But are you allowed to be LeBron James? What I'm asking you guys, because Randy Moss was questioned about how much he cared, how much he tried. Manny Ramirez was questioned about how much he cared or how he tried. Are you allowed to be the kind of superstar LeBron James is if you are someone around those questions? Because Manny Ramirez was a fringe eccentric, and Manny Ramirez was excellent at what he did. But Manny Ramirez was more of a personality than he was this superstar fixture like LeBron James. To me, what I'm telling you is this isn't an accusation I can remember being able to be filed against someone of this kind of status.
Not Jordan, not Brady, not Ali, not any of those guys.
You never question how much they care.
And now you have 3 separate times in LeBron's career where people, I'm not saying everyone, people are questioning whether or not he cared. First time he left Cleveland, when he left Miami, and now again with Cleveland.
Well, what he cares about is getting one more ring. And he sees a dead end right now in Cleveland. He's not
he created, Greg.
But he's not even sure they're the best team in the East anymore.
This is one of the things that I find interesting is this all happening because he is pressuring. He will not give a commitment to them. He wants to tank so that they blow it up. So he's going in the postseason with a totally different team, and he doesn't even care what it looks like. That he ain't giving his effort with this one. He doesn't like the one. Is that possible? Is that within the realm of possibility that all of this is happening because he's trying to get to February 8th and he wants it blown up and he doesn't have any actual power over it being blown up because he's not signing a commitment. He's not committing to anything. He's got a no trade.
I think even more important than LeBron's commitment in this equation is the Brooklyn Nets pick. And I think LeBron wants them to use that pick to add to the team, and he's doing his best to ensure that.
Here's the other thing. That the Miami Heat believe. The Miami Heat believe that when LeBron decided to get out of here, he was actively playing defense against their ability to land anybody. That they thought they had Pau Gasol locked up, and LeBron got some texts to Pau Gasol, and next thing you know, Pau Gasol's going somewhere else. Like, the Miami Heat thought that LeBron was actively playing defense, and because he wanted to leave the organization worse than he found it. Like, that was a belief within the Miami Heat that LeBron James at the end was trying to harm the Miami Heat, and in this particular case, it's what you're talking about, taking the Nets pick away from them.
There were plenty of years when the Cowboys were not in the Super Bowl where they had great ratings. Is that not true?
The Cowboys are guaranteed rating success.
Have there been some, Molly, Evan, the researcher, Max, help me out. Have there been good Super Bowl ratings in the last 22 years?
I'm with Stephen A. I'm with Stephen A. here. I think your point generally applies, and I think it's a good one that neither one of us know.
It's ruined. It's ruined now with Max and his damn
We only care about Stephen A.'s point.
Don Le Batard.
Our show's brown. We got Guillermo, Mike, and I are brown. Roy is black. Stugotz, Chris, and Cote are white. So our median is brown.
Stugotz.
And the brown guys, when you pronounce it Laraniega with the Enye, which is just a bit of pandering that he did here, the brown guys make the faces of people who are smelling something bad.
Why?
Because it sounds ridiculous, first of all.
Really?
Yes. Well, but it sounds doubly so coming out of your mouth.
Laraniega.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
No. We've got a Greg Cote back in my day to get to. We will do that. Allison, we got an update with her. She has been trying to chase down lead referee Sterator. She has talked to him.
Don't forget the Mike Tice story.
We got the Mike Tice story to get to. Stugotz had a great one during the break where he was just wondering what's in Gronk's house. Robbing his house on the Super Bowl, that's the way to do it, right? If you're a thief.
Yeah.
Yes, you know he's not home.
You know that Gronk is not home, and so his house has been robbed, and they've stolen guns. And Guillermo, put it on the poll. You think guns are a good idea around Gronk?
I don't think they're real guns. I think they're water guns.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like the big spray cannons, like stuff like
That's
that.
Such a
Laser
good point.
guns.
That's such a good point by you guys. I had sort of made it something vastly more sinister.
It's a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. T-shirt gun.
But what else is in that house? Definitely. Right. What else? I want to know what else was in that house. Yeah, for sure. A T-shirt gun.
Yes.
An ice sculpture of some sort of a nude woman, right?
There's definitely
the vodka flumes down the chest.
Yeah. Yes. The numbers, there's definitely 69 somewhere in that house. There is.
A giant 6 and a 9 somewhere.
Yes. Gronk's house.
You open up the fridge, it's just 4 Loco.
Do you have any of that Church of Gronk stuff back there? Because you could play any of that at any point and get me to laugh, because we created a whole church around Gronk several years ago.
Turn down for what? For what?
No, it was an actual church. We created a church. We had mass. We had mass for Rob Gronkowski. We had an assortment of things. Anything you want to give me that's Gronk related, I'd be happy to have.
They got those sexy bodies.
How much of that you got? Because I could give the audience this for the rest of the time and be made happy by it. Just all the Church of Gronk stuff where you've got Gronk. What would the church around him look like?
Sorry for party rocking.
Sorry for party rocking. What else you got back there?
Ha 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 hallelujah. Ha 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 hallelujah.
Such a good time, man.
It is.
It's a fun church.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we created a whole thing. Guillermo, see if you can find that stuff. The holy water wasn't actually holy water. It was something else. We created a whole set of things around the church. But while we're getting some of those details, let's do a Greg Cote back in my day.
And now it is time to take a trip down memory lane Here's your guy, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Fly swatters. Much of what I find that I get nostalgic about isn't so much that I miss the thing itself because it was better than what we have today. It's more that I miss the window of time the thing existed in as I age and the memories of my past run away from me like pieces of driftwood rushing toward and about to disappear over a roaring waterfall. It's that gradual but inexorable realization that our lives are carried in a vessel protected by a layer as thin as the skin of a balloon, apt to burst at any second and send us hurtling to the final abyss.
Wow, very dark start to the fly swatter thing.
The clackety-clack of a manual typewriter, a screen door banging shut, rolls of film you had to take to be developed, stamps you had to lick, black and white television, hand-crank car windows, rotary dial phones when your fingers did the walking. Lately, I've been pining for the good old fly swatter and the Robin to its Batman fly paper. It's hard to believe that the common housefly once was a nuisance that demanded our resourcefulness. It isn't a problem anymore because we keep our lives hermetically sealed in air-conditioned tombs. It wasn't always so. We once led open lives. We dried our clothes in the wind on lines strung in the backyard. Inside, the drone of the AC was replaced by sunshine and real air. Yeah. Our living space was so naturally splendorous, even the lowly flies wished to partake. So, we laid out a sheet of stick-em flypaper on the kitchen table, and the bendable plastic swatter hung handy. Those were the days, folks. We took control of our own lives. We didn't need a can of Raid to do our work for us. We silently lifted the swatter, and with swift justice brought it down on the invading, unsuspecting fly before its iridescent wings could lift it to safety. A whack! A splat! A tissue paper mop-up and the swift burial in the commode. The fly swatter held erect as you scanned the room with unspoken delight. Yes. Where are you, Mosca Domestica? Who's next? I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yes. Worth the wait.
Yes.
Wow. Worth the wait, Greg Cote, bringing it strong.
Well done.
You want to hear some more things about the Church of Gronk? Some other details in terms of, because we got a ton of them. We've got so many of them. We got Church of Gronk characters. We've got Church of Gronk practices. Which do you want? Because Ryan Russillo is an altar man in the Church of Gronk. Jeremy Shockey and Nick Swisher are ushers in the Church of Gronk. Swisher is an overzealous greeter. Shockey checks newcomers' hands and wrists for stamps or wristbands, ensuring their partying the night before was Gronkworthy. The Church of Gronk doesn't have a pope. It has a brope. That brope is Mike Ditka. There are no weddings in the Church of Gronk. Ed Hockley officiates all the oil wrestling matches. Kyle Rudolph is the anti-Gronk. He is the false Gronk. He came in the image of Gronk.
Oh, I miss those days.
Jared Allen is an overzealous patron who stands up to testify in the Church of Gronk. Brian Bosworth is a patron saint in a stained glass window in the Church of Gronk. Bruce Arians is the organist in the Church of Gronk.
Don Le Batard.
You decided to celebrate Guillermo's horrible contribution to the show with a hello.
Hello.
Stugotz.
That's an affirmation. When you get a hello from me, that's like the equivalent of 5 exclamation points or 4.5 smiley faces. Hello.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We've got a masseuse around here. It's not really a masseuse. It's Kihara, but it's the equivalent of massage. And Stugotz wants one, and his job is not quite easy enough, so I think he should be able to get one during this break. I think he should get one right now.
Like during the segment, you mean?
Yeah, right now.
Like I could take a segment off and go get a massage?
I think you should go get the massage and just... yeah, because we got a masseuse coming around here on Tuesdays to help work out the kinks. In the interim,
have a good segment, everyone.
All right, I want to talk to Allison about what happened with Gene Steratore. And I want to ask Greg Cote what Bill Belichick owes the Patriots fan base.
I can come back for Mort, though, right?
Yeah, Mort's going to be here in 10 minutes. There are probably better questions that I have for Mort than the one that I have for Greg Cote.
Because I'm not missing a Mort segment. Never have, never will.
I understand. Mort will be here in 10 minutes. Chris Mortensen. Allison, you've been trying to get a hold of the lead referee in the Super Bowl.
Just a second. She's coming back from her massage.
Oh, she's coming back from her massage.
Stugotz is interrupting her massage.
Okay,
she's on her way back.
Oh, she's going to love that.
Yeah.
She's going to love that she's, it's not really massage. It's sort of insulting to call it massage, but whatever. Seems to be helping the sore and the wounded around here in this very difficult work environment that we have. Allison, what happened to you with the lead referee of the Super Bowl?
Well, I spoke to Gene this morning. He was great. It was really funny. I said, we want to talk to you about your swagger. He laughed. And he said it has to go through the league, so send something to the league and my boss, the head of officials. And I said, we don't want to talk to you about the game.
Oh, they're such stiffs, though. These officials are such stiffs. They're run by stiffs. Like, they're not going to let Stugotz do anything.
So they declined, and they just want to focus on how great the game was, not the officials.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, officials. That's what I want you to tell us to focus on. We want to talk about that swaggering referee who looks like, before he made the biggest calls in the football season, threw a cigarette on the ground, stepped on it with his foot, and then just blew out smoke and said, I don't care what the league office says. I got this.
Yeah. Man's man.
Somebody, I mean, because there was a lot of attitude, and Stugotz is an actor, a method actor. Like, there is a lot. He is really confident out there.
He is. He and Ed Hockley would play a good fist fight.
Yeah, but I think Ed Hockley is Ed Hockley makes fun of himself. I'd like to get the chance to find out. I never agreed to anything. I told Allison, tell them we won't talk about the game. I don't want to put an official in a circumstance. What's a catch? What's not a catch? I don't care. Nobody knows what the hell a catch is. He doesn't know either. I don't want to talk to him about it. Nobody knows. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does anybody know what the hell a catch is? Put it on the poll. Anybody? Do you?
No.
You've been covering football all your life. Do you know what a catch is?
No, receivers don't even know.
Nobody knows. No. How is that possible? Seriously, how is that possible? Do any of you know? Does anyone within the sound of my voice know what a catch is?
It used to be you catch the ball and you get 2 feet down, and that meant it's a catch. But now you have to fall down with it still in your hands. It doesn't matter if you had 2 feet, right?
Then the ground can't cause a fumble.
But only sometimes? Yeah. Because if I take a step, I'm a runner?
We're in agreement they're going to fix all of that this year, correct?
No.
Absolutely. None of it.
No.
Wait, you kidding me?
No.
It'll only get worse.
No. The only person that's fixing it is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
He says we'll know what a catch is.
No.
I'll take his word for it.
Yeah.
Do you not feel like we've reached a bad place in evolution in general and technological evolution specifically when the technology is so omnipresent that we are sitting here watching America's most popular sport and none of us know what a catch is?
I know. It's hilarious.
I don't think that there can be a precedent for that. We all love and care about this sport and none of us know what the hell a catch is. We don't know one of the basic rules.
How about this? When in doubt, it's a catch.
No,
that's terrible.
It's a bad rule.
No.
Chris thought it was $1.
During the broadcast, wasn't Collinsworth saying, like, I'm not even going to guess here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got the lead broadcaster on the Super Bowl saying, nope, I've been wrong too many times because he got the other one wrong. Because he doesn't know what a catch is. A former wide receiver, one of the best broadcasters in the history of the game, a guy who works with advanced metrics and works in a business where he is funding advanced metrics, doesn't know what the hell a catch is.
How about this? You bring in Mike Carey, and if he says it's a catch, it's not a catch.
It's not a catch. I like that. Yeah, I like that as I'm down with that. We can't have Chris Collinsworth confused about what a catch is.
My favorite thing is how they measure where a punt went out of bounds.
Yeah.
Where they draw a diagonal line from where it ended up and where the punter was.
I'm genuinely curious, though. I want to ask you, what does Belichick owe the Patriots fan base on this Malcolm Butler thing? You benched one of your best players. Yeah. Honest to God, when Bill Belichick steps in front of a microphone, what does he owe the average fan?
The truth. In this case. Particularly when you're lost.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio.
Dan Le Batard.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald does an annual gala
The PFPIs.
It's a gala, man.
What does PFPI stand for?
Pro Football Predictions Incorporated, but we just say PFPI.
Stugotz.
Greg Cote is the only one wearing a suit and largely the only one taking this seriously.
No, I think just about everybody but Christopher took it seriously.
That's not true. No one takes it serious.
Don't you dare.
So Greg Cote's wearing a suit. He's handing over a trophy to a family who don't want his trophy, don't want him driving.
He is just now realizing all
Just
that.
dawned on him how stupid all of this is.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Mortensen going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Love Mort. Here's your SportsCenter update. Robin Lopez was ejected after his second technical in the second quarter of the Bulls' 104-98 loss to the Kings and promptly threw a chair in the hallway after aggressively going after a referee.
Do you realize that the way Robin Lopez looks, if we didn't have any experience with the way Robin Lopez looks, if you had that video and the first time you were being introduced to Robin Lopez was that video, you would find that terrifying.
Yes.
There is a 7-foot one of those roaming around.
It throws chairs.
It throws chairs. Yes.
The Lions, got to give them credit. I mean, sticking with their hire, Matt Patricia, after that defensive performance in the Super Bowl. The Lions, got to give him some credit here. I would have fired him. Would you have signed Matt Patricia after that?
Stugotz, you know how this works in football. Just go grab the guy sitting next to Belichick. That's what passes for genius in that sport.
What was the score of that game? He gave up 41 points to Nick Foles.
That's right.
I would have fired him at halftime.
Okay.
And finally, Amazon is rebooting Conan the Barbarian into an Amazon Prime series. Cool. Valentine's bouquets come in all shapes and prices, but the best are at 1-800-Flowers.com. You get 24 multicolored roses for just $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
In the Church of Gronk, do you believe that the confessional area has been replaced by a squat rack? I've got a number of things here. I mean, the listeners sent so much stuff. At Le Batard Show is where you send this stuff. Church of Gronk hasn't applied for tax-exempt status, and the accountant, Chris Spielman, dares the IRS to do something about it. You don't commit sins in the Church of Gronk, just party fouls. Instead of choir robes, the Church of Gronk choir wears zubas, right? Does that go, or is that too old?
No. Still good.
Holy Week is observed on spring break in the Church of Gronk. The pilgrimage is to Daytona.
Yep.
Mike, what's this Mike Tice story that you love so much? Where is Mike Tice these days? Mike Tice used to be the former coach of the Vikings, head coach of the Vikings. I think he got in trouble one time for scalping tickets. I remember that about Mike Tice.
As a Bear, I believe, yeah.
As a Bear. And so now Chris Mortensen is with us. What just happened here with Mike Tice, Mike? Like what just happened with him?
Well, Mike Tice is apparently contemplating on retiring from coaching because, quote, the players don't want to be coached anymore.
Coached by him.
All right. Well, yeah, that's some old school mentality there, and I'm sure Mort has been talking to some people. Mort, always good talking to you. What do you make of that story, the idea that Mike Tice is saying the young guys don't want to be coached anymore?
Well, first of all, the young guys do want to be coached. And some of the veteran guys, listen, I've heard really good line coaches have classes with veteran guys who want to do it their way. There's some coaches who are adamant about certain, your first step should be exactly this, and your hand placement this. And there are veterans who want to fight back about that. Young guys want to be coached. Now, as far as Mike Tyson's situation, I don't know if he's been offered a job. But, you hear coaches who get frustrated with that situation.
No, but I think, Mort, I think you stumbled onto it there.
I think you're on to something.
I mean, Tice says, I'm not coaching anymore, and everyone's saying, Tice, we didn't want you to coach. Nobody was asking you to coach. It's not that young people don't want to be coached. They don't want to be coached by you.
Let's check Mike off our list. I mean, no one's doing that today.
Rich Cote also announced his retirement.
Yes.
Chris Mortensen with us. I was beginning to ask Cody this question. What does Belichick owe his customer Mort, in terms of explaining the Malcolm Butler thing?
I don't think he. I think he gets to do whatever he wants on it. I don't think he owes his customer anything. Here's the thing about it is, I don't know what happened. So I'm going to. I know what somebody has tried to report. I do know this, that if there were things during the week or something that made them know they were not going to play him in that game because they weren't comfortable with whatever happened, whether he practiced poorly during the week, whether he did something that was a team violation, but they didn't tell him until right before the kickoff. And this is the Patriot way, because they didn't want him telling a family member or friends so that it would get out and the Eagles would know. Now, that's a legitimate story, and I don't know what Belichick's responsibility is in terms of telling people. If it was something personal, then I don't know most coaches who actually go into detail if it was something other than a team violation.
Agreed, Mort, but this is an unusual set of circumstances. You've sat one of your best players for the entire Super Bowl when your defense was getting shredded, including your secondary. It seemed if ever there was a time for him to give some honest answers to something, this would feel like it.
Well, since this is Bill Belichick, we don't even have to really have – it's a fair question. But the other thing is that now Malcolm Butler did play in 97% of their plays. But this Patriots defense personnel-wise, Malcolm did not have a Pro Bowl year, wasn't having a Pro Bowl year. But this Patriots defense, I want to tell you something. I heard Stugotz make the reference to Matt Patricia. During the course of the game, and I picked the Eagles by 10 points. I thought they'd win by 17, but then the Patriots would attack on at the end because I thought the Eagles were the superior team, top to bottom roster. And yesterday, Dan, you talked about the offensive line and the defensive line. But I had more criticism in terms of text messages and even in phone calls yesterday and today of the Philadelphia Eagles' approach on defense for a team that had far superior talent that failed to take advantage of the 5-yard contact rule where you could actually contact receivers and reroute receivers and make Tom Brady hold on to the ball. They said Tom Brady could have thrown for 700 yards. That the defensive game plan of the Eagles was far inferior, that the Patriots actually executed better on defense with far inferior players. So I think that, Malcolm Butler is a legitimate story independently, but I think that the Eagles won a game that I think that they probably didn't even have to get down to a Hail Mary pass at the end.
That's interesting analysis, Mort, because I do believe, I believe Philadelphia is a good deal better than that Patriots team.
Yeah, no, and a lot of people, I guess, what we got down to was the old, it's Belichick and Brady versus Doug Peterson and Nick Foles. Well, we saw Nick Foles, how you saw him play against the Minnesota Vikings, the top defense, the top defense in football, basically, and put 38 points on the board. We know that Doug Peterson has morphed into something that we never anticipated. And then you just look at the 53-man roster personnel. This was a superior football team. This team went 14-2 during the year. And Foles got comfortable enough. And by the way, here was something else somebody pointed out to me. Nick Foles had to make much tighter throws in this game than Tom Brady did. And so the Butler story is something I'm sure we'll find out what happened. It's legitimate, but in many ways I got a lot of criticism of the Eagles' defensive game plan, more so than the Patriots' game plan, because the Eagles' personnel truly is superior.
No, it's
to
good
the
analysis. Chris Mortensen with us on ESPN Radio.
Mort, Brady's going to be 41. They just lost both of their coordinators. What do you make of the idea that we're seeing the palpable end of the Patriots?
They're still the betting favorite. They're still the betting favorite.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think there's, Greg, I think there's something to that. I mean, I think if I had a criticism of Belichick, and I really don't have many, it's that his master on personnel now is maybe because he's just so stubborn about the type of player he wants. It's the defensive personnel, especially, that I wonder about, and getting rid of some players. And they've got some good players who are playing across the league, like Chandler Jones with the Arizona Cardinals. But on offense, I will say this: they deploy so many different weapons that are Josh McDaniels really is, I think, a great offensive coordinator that makes the game easier for Tom Brady, who told us before this year. I think he told Peter King said, I have all the answers to the test now, and then he has all these little tools. But I do think that right now you're probably going to see a decline of this dynasty, and maybe everybody will laugh at me if they win it next year. But I think this is the start of a decline. Yes, he's lost his coordinators before. But in terms of the personnel and Tom Brady...
You're not out there on a limb saying this is the start of the decline. He's 40 bleeping years old. Like, at some point, it's got to start.
He's in his prime.
Like, at some point, it's got to start.
He's just getting started.
Threw for 500 yards.
I know.
Exactly.
You sound like a fool, Mort.
He just won the MVP,
That's what the decline looks like.
well, yeah. And Carson Wentz, would have been the runaway MVP. But I will say this, that if you're a Jets fan, just think about Stugotz. If he gets Kirk Cousins, he's got a chance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They have no chance.
Wow.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
They have no chance. It's why they've sustained this run for as long as they have. Think about the other three quarterbacks in that division since Brady has come in.
That's
the best opponent he's had is Chad Pennington, I think.
Mort, good talking. Always good catching up with you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay, Jimmy. Hey, my bucket list is come down to see Poppy this offseason.
Yeah.
So I'll be in touch.
Well, get down here. We love you. Poppy wants to see you. Thank you, sir.
Don Batard.
When you think about it, the clapper was way ahead of its time. When you would go like that and the light would come on, I mean, that was way ahead of its time.
Yes.
Is the clapper still, as an industry, doing well?
$21.90 at Walmart right now. Still doing very well.
How about that?
Yep, the clapper.
Stugotz.
I guarantee you when I get the sales on this thing, they're going to be through the roof.
Through the roof sales.
Wow. Look at all these clappers here.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
I'm getting there.
The clapper.
Are you going to contribute anything to this segment, or are you just going to make noises?
I invented this clapper segment, by the way. It was me who brought it up. You're welcome. The clapper.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Does the Church of Gronk take mission trips to Cancun?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Does the Church of Gronk have 7 required sins? Does the Church of Gronk have bottle girls instead of ushers?
Yeah.
Is the purificator, the chalice napkin, actually a pair of panties a fan threw at Gronk after a game? Are the 2 main holidays in the Church of Gronk Super Bowl Sunday and WrestleMania? Are there any hymns in the Church of Gronk or only reverent recitations of the Jock Jams catalog?
Ha, 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 hallelujah.
The Church of...
Ha, 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 ha,
sorry.
Hallelujah.
We weren't done with the prayer there. I'm sorry. The Church of Gronk doesn't have a man on a cross. It has a cross on a man tattooed on a swole bicep, of course. There are no Church of Gronk holy days, just happy hours. So WrestleMania and the Super Bowl are fun days, but no holy days, just happy hours. Do you kneel in the Church of Gronk, or do you do a lunge with a dumbbell? When does the Church of Gronk have its services? Tuesday, because there's no football that day. No college, no pro. I'm very disappointed in these stiffs at the NFL who won't give us Sterator. Come on! We'd rather you just concentrate on the great game.
Well, we have. I mean, we concentrated on the game yesterday. Now we want Sterator. I don't understand. How can the NFL... I don't get what they're doing here. Well, we want to have Gene Sterator on.
Hold on before you get all agitated.
Oh, I'm a little upset about this.
They want anonymity out of their...
The NFL officials are very protective. We've had Ed Hockley on a couple times. The NFL officials are very protective of when they allow these guys to have a public voice because more can go wrong than right.
But all of a sudden, Sterator can't be bought? Offer Sterator some money. I guarantee you he comes on this radio show. Let's go.
Well, that'll help.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's what the NFL wants. Yeah, of course.
Jeez.
Offer Sterator some money. How are you so comfortable doing things like that?
I'm too comfortable doing it.
I mean,
send him some shirts, some show swag, something.
I mean,
there you go.
Send him a Stugotz Army shirt. You think that's what's going to make him betray the NFL refereeing communications union, the union and his communications department?
Yes.
How much would you spend to have him call the Super Bowl wearing a Le Batard Show hat?
Oh, wow.
That'd be pretty great, wouldn't it?
Wow. I mean, yes, it would cost $7 trillion.
No,
it wouldn't.
He'd do it for $700.
It wouldn't be allowed, dopes.
Why not?
How do you know? You don't know until you ask.
Right.
I mean,
are you bleeping kidding me? You want the referees to wear sponsorship hats? That's what you just said?
Just the main
That's
referee.
what you just said. Just the main referee.
I'm going to ask Mort if that's possible.
All right. Well, you have a bunch of other Mort questions. You and Mike have been doing a private show. You haven't been listening to anything we've been doing for the last 10 minutes because all you guys are doing is you got access to Mort, and you got an accent, you got a vein open, and he's the needle that comes and gives you football information. So go ahead. Why don't you just tell the people what you're doing with Mort by text, because you're sure as hell not listening to the show.
Mort's such a good friend. He was listening to the end of the segment. He knew I had a couple of questions about the catch rule and Nick Foles. And then Mike asked him some questions. And Greg, if you have a question, Roy, anyone has a question for Mort.
So we're doing a new segment, Text Mort?
Yes, bonus Mort. And we text him. Yeah.
I mean, we just talked to him.
Well, we didn't ask all the questions we wanted to ask. On the catch rule, about a month ago, there's evidence that Al Riveron was told to knock it off with overturning all these end zone plays, ruled touchdowns on the field. How about that? That's some good information from Mort.
I've got a shameless admission to make with that.
Really?
I've got what I believe to be an embarrassing admission I'm about to make related to that particular text. But let's go ahead and hear what else Mort has to say to you via text.
All right, on Nick Foles, he says he's not going anywhere unless he decides to go into ministry. Eagles need him in case Wentz not ready. Foles and Wentz together cost less than 2/3 of starting quarterbacks. So Nick Foles isn't going anywhere, and Al Riveron. That's all I got for you.
Okay, who is Al Riveron?
He's a former official. He's from Miami.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is because I have heard his name several times and have been half paying attention several times. And I thought for some reason people were consulting on officiating rules with Rivera. Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron.
That they were calling him. I know, but I was saying I was hearing that as Riverboat.
Why would the NFL use our looks like?
I don't know. I thought that people were just referring to him as River Ron because you guys have been referring to Rivera as Riverboat Ron.
No, this is his real name, Alberto Riveron.
He's Cuban, so it's Alberto Riveron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He was the first
correction.
No, he was the first Hispanic referee to officiate a Super Bowl, and he's transitioned out of the field of play to now being the guy that ruins football for everybody by saying that's not a catch.
Ease up on it, Riveron.
Mike went on to ask Mort, trouble in paradise for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers? Mort responded, Miami is paradise. No, they will get a contract done. Not bad. Now, what was the question I was going to ask? I forgot because I have no retention. The sponsored referees hats. Oh.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, I had asked about Zach Thomas, the subject of my recent column.
Done.
Why doesn't Zach get any Hall of Fame love?
I'm on it.
His career is equal to that of Brian Urlacher, who just breezed in on the first ballot.
All right, we'll type that one out.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is Zach Thomas's career equal to Brian Urlacher's?
Very similar.
Yes or no? Guillermo, say again the name of this Cuban person so that we could end this segment the right way with a Latin flourish in a pandering, clearly, to the demographic of brown America.
Alberto Riveron.
Don Batard.
2,500 12 packs of beer would weigh roughly 24,500 pounds.
So that's 12 tons of beer.
Stugotz.
So where does Dirk Nowitzki put that?
Right in his belly.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I'm with Mort on this. It's an unusual analysis, but I'm with him. The Patriots overachieved in the Super Bowl. The Eagles, I thought, actually underachieved. For Mort to be getting calls from people in the league, what are the Eagles doing on defense? For Mort to have that be the chief skepticism he was getting, why aren't they bumping and running? I thought that the Eagles were so much better than the Patriots that game was closer than it needed to be.
Yeah, I think it's certainly something I haven't heard before, but the only thing I would say to that, Dan, is Tom Brady will do that to you. You can have the best defense in the world, Tom Brady, he's going to do that to you.
Correct, he can do that, but he didn't do it with Gronk in the first half, and then all of a sudden they were doing whatever they wanted in the second half. I find interesting the Patriots seem to, if you read some of the Ringer stuff, the Patriots believe that they've got an advantage late in games because of their pace of their play and their conditioning. And every damn coach who gets hired in the NFL tells you we're going to be the best conditioned team in the league. Yeah. Every damn coach.
Right.
And the Patriots are doing something specific. Go read about it in the Ringer. The Ringer had a story about what they're doing with their routes and how precise they are about managing game situations. And I just thought that they overachieved all year that the Patriots overachieved.
I have some more nuggets from Mort if you're interested here.
Okay, what else do you have there?
I asked him about sponsored referee hats. He said, I am sure we'll see sponsored hats by referees before I hit the grave. How about that?
All right, put it on the poll, Guillermo. Will we see sponsored hats on NFL referees before Mort hits the grave?
And then for Greg Cote, I asked about Zach Thomas and him getting into the Hall of Fame. He is certainly deserving. Mort responded, Zach Thomas absolutely should and will get love for the Hall of Fame. A lot of quarterbacks, including Peyton Manning, will campaign for Zach to get in.
Yes.
Stugotz was saying he was getting mad during the break at Brian Urlacher for being in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not mad at Urlacher. I'm mad at the people who are deciding who goes into the Hall of Fame and when they go into the Hall of Fame. I have no doubt, no questions that Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Famer. But first ballot, that's for the elite. Like the elite, the best of the best. And never, not one day, not today, not tomorrow, not any day for the remainder of my life, will I think of the great linebackers in the NFL and think Brian Urlacher. Sorry, won't happen. Not the elite of the elite, not Ray Lewis, not Lawrence Taylor. That is not where Brian Urlacher belongs. He belongs in the Hall of Fame, not first ballot. T.O. is a first ballot Hall of Famer. The fact that he didn't make it in on the first ballot, that's a shame. And the fact that Brian Dawkins is getting in on the first ballot, another travesty as well.
Give
me a break.
Wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute.
He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay, but where's your line? Because Dawkins and Urlacher are in the conversation of top 10 ever at their positions. Like anybody would put both of those guys top 10 ever at their positions. Like we can have an argument about 11 or 12 or 13, but you know what I mean. So what are you doing to Brian Dawkins? Brian Dawkins is one of the greatest safeties ever.
I'm not. Brian Dawkins, same as Urlacher, is certainly deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. Not first ballot. Dan, first ballot is special.
Sacrosanct.
It's Ronnie Lott.
Okay.
That's first ballot.
Okay, here's where
it's Ed Reed next year.
Here's where I agree and disagree with you. I think that you are holding against Brian Dawkins and Brian Urlacher that the three other guys who got in are top of the food chain, where you would say, I would make an argument on behalf of that guy for best ever at the position. And so Urlacher pales compared to that. Dawkins pales compared to T.O. and Randy Moss, because you're talking about, you can make the argument in T.O. and Randy Moss, two best ever with Jerry Rice. Like, that's it. That's
no doubt.
Top of the class.
But I guess what I'm saying, here's what upsets me about it. How does Terrell Owens, when I think greatest wide receivers of all time, I think of Terrell Owens. I do. How does he not get in first ballot?
I know, but Stugotz.
And Brian Urlacher does?
When people think of safeties and middle linebackers, they think of Dawkins and Urlacher.
Urlacher should be in the Hall of Fame, but so should Zach Thomas. There's 29 linebackers in the Hall of Fame. Zach Thomas had more career tackles than all but one of them, and the only one who had more career tackles was Ray Lewis, who just got in.
Chris Sims with us now to rank his 31st best quarterback. He's from Bleacher Report. We are very grateful for his time. Before we get to the 31st best quarterback in the NFL after number 33, Nick Foles, and number 32, Carson Palmer, what are your thoughts on what's being discussed right now?
You know, I got to agree with Stugotz on almost everything he says. I mean, I'm with you guys. Urlacher is a Hall of Famer. I think he was the shock of the class to me. I did not look at him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think you guys are right on target there. I mean, the first ballot Hall of Famers for me is for guys who are like top 3, top 5 all time at that position. Ray Lewis, like you said, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. The fact that he did not get in on the first ballot is ridiculous. Unarguably one of the 3 greatest wide receivers of all time. And why? He didn't get in because he did sit-ups in the driveway? I don't really know. So I do have issues with that totally. I will disagree with the Brian Dawkins. I do think Brian Dawkins is in that Ronnie Lott type of conversation.
He wasn't first ballot. Like, we probably need to point that out.
He's second ballot.
Okay, my bad. Ballot. Then apologies to Brian Dawkins.
Okay, wait a minute.
He's a second ballot Hall of Famer. That's exactly where he belongs. Okay. I mean, Urlacher, they should be ashamed of themselves. And here's the other thing I got going on. Tony Baselli's still not in.
Well, that's wrong.
Hall of Fame, I'm boycotting you until Baselli's in. That's
wrong.
It.
That doesn't mean anything. Your boycotts mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baselli, I mean, if Terrell Davis can get in with basically, a great 5-year, 4-year career, Tony Baselli in his prime is without a doubt in his absolute prime is one of the 5 to 10 best tackles in the history of the sport. So I agree. If Terrell Davis gets in, then Tony Baselli's got to get in at some point.
Well said. Sorry to Doc, man. I feel terrible about that.
No, well, it's all right. My bad with Doc, too. I should have known that. See, that's why I got to be careful listening to you, Stugotz. I went down that worm tunnel with you. I got to be careful there and pump the brakes next time. But he is definitely one of the all-time greats at that position. And I think they had to put him in because not only does Ed Reed go in next year, but how far are we from Troy Polamalu? Because he's another guy that's coming up here real soon that's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
Elite.
Hold on.
You think steroids guys should be in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame?
No way. I mean, don't ever let Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens or those guys in. They're cheaters. Well, yeah, great example for the kids out there. Take illegal drugs and you can get in the Hall of Fame. Awesome.
Go ahead and give us your 31st best quarterback in the NFL, according to Chris Sims, please.
Number 31, the Miami Dolphins, Jay Cutler.
Wow.
Wait a second.
Cutler better than Foles.
Cutler's better than the Super Bowl MVP.
Well, Foles happened, I didn't have that game. I might have moved him up a few spots, certainly.
Oh, my God. This list is falling apart.
It's not going to be too much of a prisoner of moment. Listen, you guys, let's not remember. I mean, 4 weeks ago we were saying Nick Foles maybe should be benched for Nate Sudfeld. So let's not all be just Johnny media members and go, oh, man, he had 2 great games now. Let's put him in the top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
Sims, you are good, man. You are good at this. You are good, Sims.
Yes, his analysis.
That's a great point by
his
you.
His analysis is strong. Everybody is surprised.
I live this, guys. I live it. I really do. I'm weird and obsessed with this sport. And if I didn't have a family, I'd be a coach. I really would, but I wanted to have a life and be a father, so I got the hell out of it.
All right, very good.